Tiny Tactician. He passes.
Yeah, let's get into the gameplay.
I couldn't see what
that was very quick. So again, we have very speedy players on the plays here as they're making their decision points. We do have a Magic Mirror early. So Scott, tell us about Magic Mirror.
It's a great source of card advantage as the game goes on. For exerted, draw a card. In most control mirrors, it's going to usually decide who keeps that card in play. So any steel player has an advantage in these type of matchups because they can destroy it usually depending on what type of removal they're running. So I anticipate that will not last the whole game. So right away, he's going to play Maleficent Sorceress, which immediately gains you back the card that she was used to play with. So she's a great play for both players on turn 3.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, they're obviously Gerard and I are right here. Having the mirror already out, we'll see if he gets to use any of it before the impending beast. We do get the traditional tap my Maleficent to sing Friends on the Other Side. Pretty great tempo here. They're moving very quickly. I think they both understand that control mirrors can go the distance in time. So if you can play speedy, all the better.
Yeah, agreed. So I think it's a pure mirror then on both sides. They're both playing Steel Amethyst. Is that correct?
I'm confirming now. Actually, it's harder to find Gerard's deck.
I saw steel cards in his hand, so I'm pretty sure he's playing steel.
Yes. All right. So it is a straight up mirror match for steel. I'll take a look. We'll get a little bit deeper here. It looks really close to similar. There are some differences in the end game. I will say that, okay, we're both playing Beasts. We're both playing Tinkers. We're both playing Elsas. Jafar, Keeper of Secrets, looks to be a key difference between the lists. So some different variations of that.
So really,
we're all purple right now.
Yeah. In the early game, clearly we're just trying to keep up with the cards that are being played. The Magic Mirror is easily being used because there's really no pressure not to continue to draw cards at this stage of the game, considering what's on the board. I'm curious if he will choose to trade Maleficence here, given the one that's exerted.
Right.
I'm pretty sure this will be the last turn the mirror is actually able to be used, so I'm curious if he'll use it. I mean, given that he knows his opponent is also playing Steel, I would expect Beast to come out next turn, so I'm pretty sure he probably will use the mirror here.
There's a solid 4
might as well use it before it gets destroyed.
There's a solid 4 Beast in each player's deck, so there will not be any mirrors in this matchup.
Well, I mean,
now we have choices.
Yeah, the Pocket Watch is another good option for the Beast. So I mean, the one way to play around the removal is to just give them more options,
right?
Instead of just playing it, giving them that. Now at least he has an option to get rid of one or the other. So he chooses to quest here instead of trading Maleficence. So now we have 1 lore to 0.
Yeah, which is really interesting. I mean, obviously, each of these players have grab your sword, so all of the threatening things here are just unrealistic. Why did the Magic Mirror go? Oh, there he is. Okay.
He knew he was going to play.
I think he just said it. He said, I'm going to beat your mirror. Got it.
Wow. It's quite a turn.
The shiny.
He immediately uses Friends on the Other Side to get back any type of card advantage. I believe he probably has 7 or 8 in hand, given no max hand size. It doesn't really matter either way, but that's basically what this matchup is going to come down to: is cards in hand, card advantage, and it looks like Jordan has that advantage right now. So he also chooses the quest of Maleficent. Obviously, he used the other one to sing Friends on the Other Side. So it's now lore 1 apiece.
Yeah, so I think the lists are very, very close. I'm trying to find some key differences, and they're extraordinarily close. Oh, you're going to see a very straightforward mirror match in this one. I don't think there's any real tricks. I think the Pocket Watch is the core difference between these deck lists. So you'll have to play dividends to see how the Pocket Watch does in this matchup.
So he plays the Elsa, Anna, Captain Hook. I assume one of them will get. Yeah, he gives the Captain Hook rush with the Pocket Watch, which he just has to exert. But it's obvious, yeah. And then he will just quest ahead with Maleficent to go to 2-1. Obviously representing a threat for Beast or the other Maleficent to take out. We just have to wait dice moves, but it is 2-1 lore.
Or we just grab your swords and move on.
There's also that option too. So he plays his 6 resource. I'm not really sure whether these decks. I guess I do see an Ursula.
Yeah, so Ursula and Elsa are both in the end game.
Okay. So they will want to keep playing. I believe that's a foil Tinkerbell, the way I can tell on camera, but it's hard.
It wouldn't shock me. There was already a foil Friends, so there's definitely plenty of room for more foils to show up. That does look like a foil Tink though, so we got them
going up to 4 lore, so it's 4-1 right now, or 4-2 right now.
Right. So it's a pretty straightforward board position for both players. I think the Pocket Watch is going, has a real opportunity to start swinging the game in different states here, especially in a world where we can get an Elsa shifted here. We can probably do, some really mean things in the game state with Pocket Watch.
So as he's going into turn 7, if he does have his own Tinkerbell here, it'll be interesting because he can give it. He actually inks Beast, which is kind of dangerous in this. So he does play 7-cost Facilier, but doesn't have the extra ink to be able to give him Rush. So I'm curious to see what he does here. He decides to challenge both characters into the Beast, just saving himself the time there with shortcuts. But that you do have the 2/3 Elsa and the 2/2 Maleficent trading with the 4/4 Beast.
Right. So he just gets to refill his hand and be content with where he is in lore right now. So we did get a foil. So we just inked another foil. So there's lots of foils going in on the left side here, which is nice to see.
So Facilier does represent a threat to the Tinkerbell. So he's just going to sing, grab your swords, and he smashes and sings grab your sword. Again, these players are taking a lot of shortcuts. I think they know each other and know each other's.
Yeah, well, so. The lists are really similar. The play pace is very familiar. So I would argue that that's very true. So we have a Jafar here. It has 4 strength, I believe, currently.
Yeah, and he had quested with Maleficent, so Cooler is now 5-2. So there's a lot of board and lore advantage going on for Gerard right now. So it's gonna depend whether or not Brandon can actually play something of value with the Pocket Watch being in play to get himself into this. I mean, his characters are always going to have essentially a turn up. Except for if he was to play an Elsa here or something like that he just doesn't have the lore to be able to do both in one turn. But in the long run, his characters are going to be able to act a turn before. So we'll see how that goes. So he does play the big Tinkerbell here, which is obviously a key card in the matchup. So now he can give it Rush, which I assume he'll do. Yep. Right. And swings it into the other Tinkerbell, uses her ability to do 2 damage to the Maleficent. So yes, that leaves Tinkerbell vulnerable, but he's essentially going to get a 3-for-1 here out of it regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a huge play. I mean, even if he does choose to swing the Jafar in, it's still going to be a 3-for-1 in the long run. And that's one way. I mean, we saw that Gerard had a lot of early card advantage, like pure draw. But on the flip side, Brandon's able to use his cards that are in play to gain back that card advantage. So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, so we're still
deciding whether or not to trade with Tinkerbell or go way ahead on lore. So he does decide to trade directly with the Tinkerbell instead of allowing the trade. I assume her ability would be too powerful to allow her to make the decision. So Ursula is one more down.
Right, we get a lore gain there. So Brandon goes to 1.
Yep.
Gerard goes to 6. And this is kind of where we're going to be very interesting because the Ruby Amethyst deck has a lot of spot removal and trading for 1-for-1s. Whereas the Steel Amethyst, you don't really have those things. You're much more reliant on your Pocket Watches and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see how they start battling each other with these much bigger endgame characters.
So he plays the Maleficent Sorceress just to gain back the advantage, but Ursula has such a huge amount of lore gain that it's going to be tough. So the Beast comes down, destroys the Pocket Watch, which I think is going to be a huge play because that was really Brandon's source of being able to keep the card advantage, and he plays a Magic Mirror.
Yep.
So now even if Brandon does play his own Beast, it has a target. So now he does quest with Ursula as expected to 8-1 on the lore.
Yeah. I believe
so there's a lot of work that Brandon needs to do to get back in this game at this point without a Pocket Watch and without his own Magic Mirror.
Right.
The early card advantage that Gerard gained is just very hard to overcome. So he does, as assumed, play his own Beast to try to slow down the bleeding of the card advantage, but Ursula's 8 willpower is pretty much going to be very dominant here.
Even right now, you have only 6 strength into an 8 willpower. You're going to have to find other help other way. By making this lore trade. Getting the lore is great, but now the beast can just trade into it, which makes the Ursula even more dominant.
Yep.
8 willpower is a very, very fine stat for that card.
Yeah. So he quests with Maleficent, so it's now 8-2. But I mean, yeah, that's exactly what I figured. He's just going to gain 5 lore here to go to 13. So it's now 13-2.
He's just going to Ursula again.
Yeah.
Because there's no be prepared. Once again, you don't have answers to 8 willpower cards very often.
So Ursula reduces the lore and draws him a card, and quests for 3 lore. So I mean,
now we're representing lethal.
He's representing lethal, yeah.
In like a very big way.
Yeah. So I guess Beast can trade with Beast to prevent lethal, but I mean, it's
lethal with Prince. He has to be able to get rid of Prince.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So right now, this is like game in the hand. Not a lot of great options. A double grab your swords would stop the bleeding, but would still be very difficult to get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it would stop lethal, I guess. But
right, it would give you another turn if you could somehow follow up. But very, very. Yeah, so here's the first.
We are probably going to see that then.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So
that's a good place. Down, exerts down 2 characters.
6 lore, yeah.
Yeah, so that exerts down both Ursulas.
And then we get the Maleficent and the Beast here.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's a good way to get back in the game. It stems the bleeding a little bit. I mean, the Elsa can't trade with the Ursula, but the Elsa and the Beast can.
Right.
So I'm curious to see if he has a way to use Eric plus another card to get rid of the Beast here. I would imagine. I don't see anything in his hand that can get rid of it, but he can draw a card with the. Oh, he has another Ursula also. So
yeah, he got just another gigantic card to play, and we have double Maleficent in hand still, or the Queen and Maleficent. So he could go that option, but I think just pressuring again with this third Ursula is just too good.
So now the lore goes down to 0.
Right.
So it's now
0-14.
0.
And yeah, we just get to do really, really mean things.
Yeah, so he plays he just cycles with Maleficent as well. So again, he just continues to represent lethal.
Right.
So now he goes to 14 with I mean, even if Elsa keeps them, she will not keep them. They will ready this turn. So even if Elsa and Beast together take out one character, one Ursula, the other one's just gonna even a grab your swords. I guess one grab your swords would allow both of them to be banished this turn, but then you still have Ursula. It comes down to there's another Elsa, so that'll keep the same, or at least 2 of them, and then it does exactly that.
Yeah, so we just okay. So yeah, so we just get to be at 2. We get to go to 2. So we have 2. So yeah, the problem is he's not threatening the game either. So he has to find a way to get his own lore back.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and I assume Gerard can mop up these characters this turn, especially when he has this Tinkerbell here as well in hand. So I don't even know that he needs to play it necessarily because it's not going to make the difference. Well, I guess Eric and the Tinkerbell will clean up the Elsa. But he just decides the quest, which he's close to victory. So
16-0. It's hard not to do those things.
Right. So I mean, I'm a fan of this. Like you force your opponent to make the decisions into your character as opposed to you being aggressive and doing it.
Because even now, I mean, he has well enough more next turn, but it's like if he has another Elsa, he's like he's not, his opponent's not gonna be able to gain any lore because he has to then trade into Eric's and Maleficent here, and then still get 2 lore from a Tinkerbell. So it's a really tough spot. He just fell very far behind in the game very quickly.
Yeah, so having the mirror will allow him to gain gain cards back, even if the board is wiped here somehow.
Right.
It's still going to be to his advantage to continue to play to the board because he has the mirror and his opponent does not. So there's no reason not to continue to pressure. And obviously he's going to be representing lethal almost every turn from here on out, which he is right now, of course.
It's very
so he takes and those Ursulas can't be taken out one by anything that's on board. So yep, that's what I figured. Another grab your swords, which does wipe out the board a little bit, but I
Yeah, it gets rid of the 2/1 lures.
Yep.
And I guess the Elsas now trade because they both have 4, right?
Yeah, so he swung both Elsas into one Ursula, leaving one, and then he trades the beast into the other.
Oh, okay. All right.
So,
All right.
yep.
That was a massive
That was
turn.
a big turn. That was a big turn. I mean, and out of the hand, it didn't really have a lot of card advantage early. So we'll see what happens here.
We just grab your swords it back.
Yeah, so he draws his own grab your sword, draws a card with the mirror. So his grab your swords back will take out one of the Elsas and then really damage the other one. And I think Hook will also allow. Yep. So he's going to hold the grab your swords for next turn.
He's just going to take the 6 lore and move on.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is not threatening lethal for him. It would only go to 19, not 20.
He has 0 right now.
No. I'm saying the.
Oh
right here. It will only bring him to 19, so it's not. It's not danger zone area yet.
No, I'm pretty sure he's going to use the hook anyway to trade with the Elsa after the grab your swords anyway. So he actually inks the queen here, which I'm surprised about considering he doesn't have a source of card advantage like the mirror on his side.
Right. I mean, I guess third Elsa here. Elsa, or honestly, an Ursula of his own. I guess more Tinkerbells are always good.
You just have a lot of swingy characters out of these colors, and that's exactly what's happening here. So he goes to 6 lore, so it's 16-6 right now.
Right.
But Gerard is now the one that needs to actually be more active versus just questing, because as we said, questing will just get him to 19, which is not lethal, and then really not do anything to his characters.
He could quest to 18 here.
Yeah.
Trade the hook, and then play the second Jafar in his hand.
Which would represent lethal.
Right. So his opponent would have to have an answer to the second Jafar. The grab your swords doesn't really do anything on this given turn.
It cleans up.
I guess drawing Elsa is pretty good too. If he can just play Elsa, I'm not sure exactly if he has the resources for that.
I mean, the grab your sword will clean up the one Elsa, and then the hook will clean up the other Elsa. So I think he'll probably take that line, I would imagine. He does quest to 18 as expected.
Right.
Because you're forcing the challenge into that Jafar regardless. So, okay, so he actually plays the Jafar to represent the lethal here. And yeah, it does use the hook to take him out. So he doesn't use the grab your sword. So now it's again, the decision is back on tempo-wise.
Not using the grab your sword does keep 2 cards in his hand for trades if that's what happens also.
That's also true. Yep. So yeah, he had no way in to take out the other Jafar. So he goes from 18 to 20 on his own turn and has no out of hand way of dealing with it. I think that's as we've talked about in the past, that's the difference between playing Steel versus Ruby. So Ruby would be able to have numerous ways of taking out that Jafar before it was actually able to quest, whereas Steel typically would have required 2 cards to do that, and he just didn't have the answers. Again, he could have delayed it with another Elsa type effect, but he didn't have that. So
yeah, I was curious. I was looking over the list just to see if there was any like freeze or anything like that. There was neither one of the players are playing a card like freeze. Gerard has 3 Elsas versus Brandon, who has 4 Elsas. So he did have the ability to draw another Elsa if he could have found one. But that also goes back to that conversation of maybe the turn before playing Queen over playing Tink as ways to continue to dig. Because where his opponent was at that point in the game, he would have been drawing 2 cards a turn, had to keep trucking through and getting more and more resources. But in the end, you have to find ways to answer it every turn. Elsa's a great way to in some fashions time walk your opponent, but at that point in the game, it would have literally been, I need to play Elsa for the next 1,000,000 turns.
Yeah, any threat that he plays that has 2 lore, which like the Jafars do, any of his other big characters do, just represent lethal on the board that's hard to deal with.
So for the mirror match here, what do you think you'd have been searching for in the mulligan?
Any card draw, obviously friends, mirrors, beasts, queen, anything that draws me cards over my opponent. He does row the pocket watch here, which is surprising, but I guess he figures his opponent he might not have enough items to soak up beast from his opponent, so he figures he might as well just put in the inkwell.
He might just also depending on what the hand looks like, ink just might be hard to find right now.
So I really like the beast Simba here because in decks like this you have answers. So this allows you to find those inflexible answers more often.
Like this combination also can end up with a lot of uninkables.
Right.
So in specifics, like these lists have actually pretty low counts on uninkables. Ironically, they're both at 14. So, but I've seen versions of this deck that have up to 20 and 22. So
playing out the 3-cost Tinkerbell always represents being able to play out the shifting out the large Tinkerbell on turn 4. So I'm curious to see whether or not. I mean, I would imagine there's a Friends coming here from Maleficent, and probably not playing anything, obviously, that would get smacked around. Oh, no, he does.
Friends
as assumed.
We do the, the usual.
He does play another Maleficent. So, like, I mean, a big Tinkerbell here will wipe the board, but you're not really losing the card advantage because you drew cards off both of these.
Yeah, he's just going to, he does have the Tink already, whether or not, I mean, I think playing it is fine here. You just clear the board and you threaten all that you're threatening now early on. So you just get to, like, literally remove everything on the board. He's just making shortcuts here. And then you just also have the Zimba. So you have a 3-lore board. It just looks like he's not going to even ink with Zimba. I guess he's afraid of Rafiki.
And he didn't quest with Simba there, probably fearing some type of rush character, or I can't imagine what else he would have.
Rafiki or Zeus is my guess.
Yeah. So he rose the Beast, which is surprising, given the nature of the matchup. Plays out his 3-cost Tinkerbell's very similar.
Right.
Again, I mean, he's only one turn away from being able to play the giant Tink by herself, but now you'll have.
So you can shift and do multiple things.
If you shift, So he draws a mirror. I imagine that's down relatively quickly. I think he's trying to decide whether or not he can get rid of that Tinkerbell out of hand, and all I see is a smash, so he can't necessarily.
Yeah, it's not. 4 health is it's a dangerous number when you can't do other things with Tink. I don't know that it would be worth it to, like, fire the cannons and smash that card. He decides not to quest at all here,
and doesn't play an ink, I believe, either.
Right.
So
that's just the, if I have mirror, if I'm playing mirror that turn, I think I'm okay with, like, taking the trades, right? Like, the entire game is going to be based on these trades anyway. And now this almost feels like because you sat back a turn, you allowed your opponent to, like, take over, and that's a bit scary for me.
Yeah, so he doesn't gain any, like, so that turn was just completely nullified by the Beast.
Right.
So it just comes down to whether or not he wants to trade the Tinkerbell for the Beast here in the long run, not immediately, but in the long run.
Yeah, he keeps staring at that smash, like praying that it was going to turn into 4 damage.
So he passes here with, it looks like, Beast in hand and some other characters that aren't really going to affect the board immediately. Although now there is a target.
He has like a very large, big end game.
Yeah.
He has the Elsa in his hand. He has the Ursula in his hand. He had the Beast. I didn't catch the last card yet. But now at least he feels like he's going to get value out of it. But his opponent was also able to mirror and draw a card off of it already. So it's not going to feel as bad.
Yeah, agreed. The characters just stare at each other because the trades are not very favorable. So yeah, we have the Beast as expected from the other side. And continuing to pass, I assume. Yeah, he just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to lose that Tinkerbell 1-for-1 with the. I mean, technically 2-for-1 with the Beast because it's shifted.
Good. It's pretty good. I guess when all you guys are doing is just passing turns back and forth, the player who's drawing more cards will be in a better position.
Or yeah. Although 2 Elsas might be in a better position, but he's gonna. He has an inkable card in Smash, I believe. Yeah,
so I think Smash is his only inkable card,
and he has.
We just passed.
Looks like 6 ink, so he's not going to play the Smash in order to play the Ursula.
Right. He's also not going to play the Ursula because he can't even get advantage off the Ursula. He can't take a lore away and draw a card because there has been no lore gained in the game so far.
Do you have to take the lore away to draw the card?
Okay. You draw a card for each lore you take from the opponent.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's not just pure draw a card. Yeah.
Correct.
So again, we're just playing characters and passing. I mean, it's pretty. I was going to say, grab your sword will be very good here because it'll actually probably move the board along a little bit. Because if the characters are damaged, then your smaller characters and better trades. So, like, He doesn't.
Yeah, I was wondering if
he's still able to use it.
I was wondering if this is the turn where we decide to start trading some damage around now that we have the grab your swords.
So he decided to grab your sword with beast,
right,
to save himself not having to use everything. So then, yeah, everything gets 2 damage. The Melissa gets taken out, and only having the beast exerted means that if Brandon wants to swing back, then he has to lose a character. So he decides to smash the beast as well, which leaves only the Tinkerbell in play. So
I think I would have
a lot harder to take anything out with what
I would have considered smashing the Tinkerbell instead, because now you're leaving yourself vulnerable to shifted Tinkerbell shenanigans.
I mean, she has 2 damage on her, so like he can't really swing.
Well, yeah, but you can shift in, take out the Zimba, and then take out the other Tinkerbell.
Yep, that's true. Because the 1 damage when she comes into play. Yep.
Right. So this could be these next couple turns are going to really showcase the rest of the game. He does get to take a lore back here, so he gets to draw his card. But it'll be interesting to see how the next couple turns come out, because it's very much a grind of the game. But the Magic Mirror has the ability to truly just say, "I'm going to outcard advantage you."
So Ursula brings it down to 2-0. He's not gonna either use the Tinkerbell ability or put her in any vulnerable position. She can't really trade. I mean, she could trade with the Simba, but I mean, that's not. I mean, then you just leave yourself vulnerable to Tink just taking it out and getting 2 damage somewhere else. So he basically just passes on using the Tinkerbell at all, even for its draw and discard ability.
Right. I think now Elsa could be interesting in kind of taking over the game again, where you can Elsa the opposing Tinkerbell, run your Tinkerbell into it, get some free damage on Ursula, and do some more things there.
So he quested for 4 to go up to 5. He just or to go up to 6. He hasn't moved the dice yet.
Yeah.
And then he plays Tinkerbell to do 1 to everyone. So the lore is technically at
6-0.
He just hasn't moved the die yet. I can't
actually. It would be, I believe, 6-1 because Ursula. Oh no, I'm sorry. No, yeah, just 6-0.
But he hasn't moved the dice yet, so I believe he has 6 lore considering he quested. But
he definitely just quested for 4 lore. He would have went from 2 to 6.
So I assume Elsa, will exert down the 2 Tinkerbells. And then Ursula just quests to gain 3. So now it should be 6-3.
Yep. We are up to date on stream, just not on the map. It did look like he finally slid his dice up there.
Somebody moved their die eventually.
Yep. All right, so we have tap down Tinks and just the 8 willpower Ursula hanging out here. There's a lot of a lot of back and forth here, and a lot of true restraint from players not trying to lose a step in any type of way to a Tinkerbell play.
So the beast taking out the Magic Mirror is big here because there goes the source of card draw.
Right.
For that side of the board, it's going to depend on whether or not Brandon chooses to take out the Tinkerbells on his turn, or just continue to use them to gain lore. So the Simba's able to challenge, and so is the first beast. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, that's what I would do too. You send the beast into Ursula. Beast survives. She takes 4 damage. It's his 4 power is still, even if he does swing Ursula into it, would get taken out, or he could swing the Elsa into it, but it's still a lot of damage. So like the character combat is still representing a huge amount of damage here. So I totally agree that you just put the damage on where you can, because that's your only way of taking out opposing characters anyway, is through damaging, not through immediate removal. So
yeah, specifically there with the Zimba too, like not offering up Zimba for another lore just takes away the Tinkerbell shift play again. Because like you said, if we shift in now, well, now my Tinkerbell just gets banished, and that it's not going to feel nearly as good as you would hope it would.
It's still going to be pretty good, but
it's not bad, but it's not not overwhelming.
It's not she survives, which is the issue.
Right.
She would have to trade with something. Yeah.
We have a lot of cards in hand. He's just going to decide to cast Friends. I guess at this point is like, what are we searching for? Grab your sword? Like, is that what we're trying to make out of this?
No, I don't think there's anything specific he's looking for. I think he's just trying to draw as many cards when it's optimal and when there's the opportunities to. But yeah, he does play grab your swords. So it doesn't. It takes out the Simba. It takes out the Beast. It puts 2 damage everywhere else to where there's 2 4 on. Okay, he's just. All right, so I think he played a second Grab Your Swords by singing with Ursula. Yeah,
Okay,
and
so
then,
yeah,
and
so
then
he
quest with Elsa. So
we just
so
took
we're
it
now
all out.
at 6 all with the lore. So now it's going to come down to whether or not Gerard has any answers to this board, which something like single Grab Your Sword is not going to clean it up.
No, but he has double Elsa,
Yeah,
so that can just kind of.
but he
he
doesn't have 8 ink. I don't think. He only
No.
has 7.
Oh yeah, it does only have 7, and he has a lot of uninkables in his hand.
So is he playing Ursula, or he just plays his own Grab Your Swords there? I think he only has 6. If he's exerting 5, it's only
Yeah, I think you're right. So he has no inkable card in his hand, and he drew the Grab Your Swords, and he does not even have 7 ink. So yeah, it was actually a pretty. Again, we only have 14 uninkables in the deck, and in that given turn, very late in the game.
So he quests for 6 here.
Yeah.
To go to 12, so it's 12-6. And the Elsa and Ursula still represent giant threats. So there's absolutely no reason, which I totally agree with, for him to really play anything other than card draw this turn. So he starts out with the friends. He might play something minor.
I guess that's fine, but I also like just playing another Ursula would have been good too, right?
Sure. He can play it. Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
So he takes away a lure to go to 5 and draws a card.
Well, because now you're also represent lethal here.
Yep.
So
exactly.
Your opponent has to have a way to get out of this.
Yep.
And drawing the other Elsa was not it.
So that was a matter of not drawing too many uninkables.
Yeah.
And a lot of your uninkables they cost a lot. I didn't see what he mulliganed if he kept a lot of that stuff in his hand, but that's really what that represented here. I think Brandon's early game draw, where he just kept cycling the Maleficence, played Mirror, and drew with it when he could. He just took the ability to draw cards whenever he had the opportunity to. So then in the late game, he always had ink, always had threats, and just allowed his opponent to not misstep, but to not have ink.
Right.
So that he played threats early that drew him cards, and then had more cards in his hand in the late game.
So this game, the round now has about 16 minutes left, like 16 and a half minutes left in the round. I'll be interested to see if anything gets done differently. Like in this game, there was a lot of waiting around for lore, a lot of I don't want to make my trades and things like that. If we end up going to a time situation, this could be a very difficult avenue for one of the players that are being a little more hesitant.
Yeah, this is given the state of the last couple of games, this is probably going to come down to extra turns and lore. So we'll see what happens.
It's very close. On average, they're looking at probably 16 minutes, almost to the dot, maybe something like that. So
these players are not playing slow. I'll tell you that.
No, they're not. Right. The speed is there to where it could end it could end, but it's very unlikely that we're going to finish within time. Is my guess. My guess is we'll be going to additional turns.
Yeah, just the nature of the decks, but it is not due to the speed.
No, and you could see it. These players are making decisions quickly, making their mulligan decisions quickly. They're trying to get through it. They want to get into the part of the game where they can decide a winner.
Yes. So I know I think he just mulliganed 1 Eric, I want to say.
He had a Friends. He had a Magic Mirror.
He had an
Elsa.
He had a small Elsa to be able to play the Friends.
Right.
I saw.
Right.
And he had enough ink. He kept a lot of ink, which doesn't surprise me. Given what happened last game, I'm not surprised.
So he lost. I'm curious if he decided to go first.
I would assume so.
Looks like he did.
He has Simba here too, which
he has Simba. Yeah.
He didn't play it. Yeah, I'm not surprised he didn't play it here. There's no reason to. I mean, to give your opponent. There's no reason to play it here. You want to play it when you. And he's not even going to play it as the game goes on.
Yeah, he's just keeping the ink. He's just this card's not effective for me.
Yeah, it's not going to do it. It might be. I don't think it's a factor of time, but same with the Pocket Watch. I think there's just not enough real time in the game, let alone turns. So yeah, right. Plays a 3-drop, which we knew there were going to be 3 drops coming out. I assume there's going to be a Maleficent Sorceress coming out on the other side here. I didn't see this again, but
that's the best way to play this deck.
Yeah. Oh, is that a Maui? Interesting. Giant Maui.
Yeah, I believe it was a one of hiding out in list.
Now it's hiding out in the Inkwell.
It is hiding out in the Inkwell, yes.
So he uses Elsa to play friends, as we assume, which is especially good here, considering she doesn't even get taken out by the Maleficent. So there's absolutely no reason not to do that here. He can use the game to have ink, and he drew another friends, which is exactly what you want here. And because she sang it, there's no. He still has all his ink available for the turn.
Yeah, and the obvious trades here are not great. I think he has 3 Elsas in his hand already. So we'll have to see how that unfolds. Yep. All 3 Elsa Spirit Winners hanging out in his hand already.
So it looks like both players have 2 friends.
Yeah. The problem here, obviously, is that Elsa trades into Maleficent, and that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Well, at least we have our own Elsa.
So we'll see whether he uses one of the Elsas on the Maleficent here. So
I'm actually shocked that he rose the beast there.
Yeah. So we're still just drawing cards as the game. Yep, drew another friends. I assume he'll use one of them on the one Elsa and probably swing in with the other one.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Because then the Elsa trades for it's now like Elsa into Elsa, but you prevent the friends on the other side.
Right. That means your opponent doesn't get the friends like you did.
Yep. So that's exactly what I would have done as well. I agree with those plays. So it comes down to whether or not he wants to use the Elsa or just continue to use friends.
I mean, just looking at his hand, I think you have to make this play, right? Like he needs to find what cards that he can ink to even get to be able to play these bombs in the end.
Well, the grab your swords here will be 2 for 1 regardless, which I think he'll probably. No, he just played Jafar.
Well, that guy has a lot of strength. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. When you play 2 friends and a Maleficent in the early game, that guy's pretty giant.
he's like 6-7 power right now at least. He's pretty big.
He's the best pocket watch target for this deck for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So as we have 2 control decks here, no one's gained lore yet. So we have, I think, is that a second or third friends? Is that third?
This will be the third friends played by Jared. Yeah.
Jar has a lot of friends.
Yes. I mean, there's been 5 friends on the other side played in this game already.
He's a popular guy. He's got all the friends. So the Jafar has 5 willpower, right? So he couldn't have used like an Elsa and trade 2 characters into it.
No, it has 5 willpower. Yeah. Definitely, that would have been down. But I do really like this queen play here. Now, we know that each player has beast. So having a queen that has 5 willpower and has the ability to just exert and draw a card is a pretty good position in the game.
So he sends both Elsas into the other Elsa, which I really like because he knows his opponent's playing Grab Your Sword anyway. So that in all likelihood, the 2 damage Elsas. Yeah, the 2 damage Elsa is going away anyway. So
right.
Yeah.
Like shifting Elsa this turn would have been pretty powerful. Because we could have shifted in, destroyed the queen, and then ran our Jafar into the queen, and that would have been a backbreaker of a play.
So is that his second, or that's his third friends as well?
It's his third friends. We have lots of friends, Scott. Lots of friends.
Everyone has friends. Everyone has lots of friends here.
And more draw. All right. So we are at 0-0, and we're approaching the 10-minute mark.
10-minute remaining or 10 minutes in the game?
10-minute remaining. Yeah.
Yeah.
So lots of options. We get rid of the Elsa. So it's the same thing here. I think we get rid of that Elsa so we're not being shifted into and things like that. Just keeping Elsa off the table for another turn.
So the issue with the queen here is I think she only represents 1 card draw before Jafar trades into her, which, I mean, at least it's a trade, so it's not that big of a deal. But I think that's probably the situation we're in. I'm assuming that Jafar will have over 6 power. Yep.
So I actually think we're gonna be okay. So we're gonna grab your swords and then run, and then run Maleficent in. So now we're fine, and now we can absolutely just use this to draw cards.
Yeah,
and feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, what's interesting to me about the queen as a card is because she only has 1 lore. There's almost no doubt you would want to draw the card over questing with her all the time.
Yeah, like her 4 strength is noteworthy. So there is options where she'll end up challenging, but more often than not, I will almost always trade, my lore for a draw card, especially at this state in the game.
So we have Magic Mirror here. He knows his opponent already put a beast into the inkwell. He needs to play some type of card draw to keep up here. Again, because there's literally no lore that's been gained yet. So now we have Magic Mirror and Queen. So now we have Gerard just being able to easily draw 2 cards a turn versus 1 on the Brandon side. So there's a second Magic Mirror. Again, there's not like there's not destroy all items in play, so there's no reason not to do that.
Yeah, sure.
And it's uninkable, so
Right. Like if he has the ink this turn, there's no reason not to just do it. The only thing I would have considered over that is if we played a 2-drop or a 1-drop instead.
Yeah, but
because again, time is ticking. We're at 0-0. We're going to almost 8:30 now left in the round. So at some point, we do have to stop drawing cards and trying to win the game, or at least put ourselves in the position to win the game. Getting 20 lore at this point and with 8 minutes left, not going to happen. But the players need to recognize that this is a factor in the game for sure.
So what I think is interesting here is that other than Facilier, who really there aren't any other characters in play. In reality, having a single queen out there, but drawing and having 2 items makes both Elsa and Ursula, considering there's no lore, both bad plays.
Right.
So you're actually causing your opponent to not have plays because you're not actively trying to win the game here. Like, what's Elsa going to do? Tap down 1 queen for a turn? Who cares? Right. And Ursula can't even draw him a card. So it's really interesting here that basically we're in this like holding back your opponent from doing anything.
We're now admiring the foil friends, which PS was the 4th friends on the other side played. It's pretty good.
And a queen and 2 magic mirrors. So like the what he's playing down, even if he does play Elsa here, they're not threats that are, I mean, they're threats, but they're not super high quality threats. So like he's fine with these like being tapped down by Elsa, for example.
So I'm gonna be honest. I think I would have just kept the mirror in my hand.
Yeah, with Jafar in play, I probably would have kept the mirror in hand at that point.
Yeah, like you're never gonna get to that point. So I think I just would have left that in my head and been okay with it.
So Facilier here is really, I guess he.
I love that he just inked it. He's just like, this is not important.
I'm going to take out all 3 mirrors.
Yeah, like it's just not important.
So Facilier comes in with the quest and gets our first lore of the game at 3-0.
Which means the Ursula off will begin.
Yes. So
I think what's interesting too
is actually really interesting here because he represents a threat that causes all your other cards to be much better than they are on paper. So we start with another Elsa, which will exert down both characters. So now we have to decide whether or not, like, who the first person to actually be able to start taking out characters is, and the Facilier has to be the first character taken out,
right?
Or else,
otherwise, you just continuously get them back.
So if he had the Pocket Watcher, it would be insane.
It would be very good
because of Facilier. I don't know how many he's playing.
There's Facilier. 3 of them in his list. I don't see him. I don't see one hanging out.
Okay.
We know that he inked at least one of them.
So the queen goes down. I guess we're past the stage where her ability to draw cards is going to matter as much, just given the threats. I guess he assumes his opponent has a bunch of damage-based removal. So what's he? Okay. He also is down 2 characters.
Yeah, we know for sure that he has 3 Elsas already. Right. So this is Elsa number 2. We're just going to keep doing this probably for another turn after this as well.
So, the Jafar is not able to ready. Which So the Elsa, so the queen and the hook can do 7,
right?
And that will take out the Facilier, right? And then the Facilier will not take out the queen, right?
Correct. It has 3 strength, I believe.
I mean, he has multiple grab your swords in hand anyway, so it's not even.
Yeah, damage is going to start flying around now.
Yeah. So that starts it out, and then I guess just 1 grab your swords will technically take it out. Yep. So he sings 1 grab your swords. That takes out the Facilier. So now it's a question of whether or not he wants to continue to put threats in play, which
we play Ursula. Yeah. So we get to take a lore down. So we get
2-0.
We get on the board to 1.
Yep.
Oh no, I'm sorry, we don't. No, we don't get on the board yet.
So it's 2-0. He has to reduce his lore down by 1.
Right, but we are 2, and then we get to draw another card, which is great. However, now we have floating Elsas and about to be a 3rd Elsa.
Yeah, but there's a point where you need to actually start taking out your opponent's characters. Like she keeps them exerted down, but she's not going to take them out. So.
And they all have 5 or more health, so like the double swords isn't going to really do it. It's interesting here. So we're going to be at 4 minutes left or so, and he's clearly going to start heading for lore. I wonder if he drew the other Elsa. I didn't see that.
So he quests up to 8-0.
Right.
So he puts the pressure back on a Gerard to choose to quest into his Elsas with honestly worse characters. So
Right.
we'll see if he decides it. So the Queen can take out one, and the Jafar can take out. I know the Jafar is definitely going to take out one.
Yeah, that can just that can annihilate basically anything. I think there's at least 5 cards in his hand.
Yeah. So it depends on whether I want to. Oh, so he has the Eric. The Eric can't take out though by herself. So Ursula's back again, going down.
7.
So Lore is now at 7-0.
7-0, yeah.
So he can smash an Eric into one, which he may do. Yeah, that's what I figured. The Queen does take one out. It's like he had to get the. He had to quest there with the Ursulas, but his opponent's board is just more impressive with just what's in play.
Right. Well, it just I guess the thing here now is
there has
what
to
can
be
we set up? What can we set up to prevent our opponent from like catching me? So even if he goes here and goes +5 more and goes to 12, like his opponent very quickly can be like, I'm just gonna gain 3, 6, 9, 11, 12, 13 lore. You know, so like right there on the board, his opponent would already be beating him in lore.
I mean, I assume a Tinkerbell Giant Fairy is coming down here.
Right. So it does get rid of multiple targets. We get rid of the Queen. We get rid of Jafar.
That's just with their damage. That's just with their damage, let alone the.
Right. The problem is that your shifting character doesn't look like he can. He'll be able to banish the Eric.
So he plays her instead of questing with her, which is fine. I mean, like, because the small Tinkerbell still represents a bunch of damage anyway. So the Beast takes out one of the mini mirrors that are in play. So and then he just quests. Yeah. So now so his opponent can quest for 10, but so he's already at 7.
Right. So he goes to 10, but his opponent can go up to 11.
And he went to 10. He went to 11 there just now, or did he?
Yeah, he went to 10. Oh, I'm sorry, 11. Right. Elsa's 3. Yeah. My bad. Yeah. So we'll be at 11-1.
See what's going on. So 11 plus.
Yeah, he didn't tick up his dice again.
He's still not lethal technically either, because I think there's only 9 in play, right? Yeah, 9. So what does Grab Your Sword do here?
9 would be lethal.
Doesn't take out any money, puts a bunch of damage, but it makes the Ursulas more favorable. So I assume he'll use Eric here to trade with something. Smash takes out Tank. Yep. Which is good because she's an unexerted character, so it's easier. So now he starts a quest, I assume. Yeah. For 10?
Yeah.
Surprised he didn't use the Eric to take out the something there. Or is it?
I mean, I guess he could have just took out Tink.
It should be 10 lore there.
He should have went up 10.
Yeah, if he quested with Eric, it should be 10.
Yeah, so he'll be at 11. He was at 1. He's fine. It's 11-11 officially.
Oh, now. Okay. I see it. I thought the dice go in opposite directions. I got it.
Yeah. Yes, the dice go in opposite directions.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, so it's 11-all.
All right, so we get an Ursula.
So she reduces down to 10. Draws him the card.
We still have to make a trade here.
I'm really surprised they didn't use the Eric there, because I assume a Grab Your Sword's coming out and then Eric just does nothing.
Yeah. Even that, like, he can just make the trade favorable anyway now.
Exactly. So now Eric just basically does nothing, which is what I figured was going to happen. So now it comes down to Ken, Elsa, and he's just going to quest. Okay. So he goes to 3, 4, 5. He gains 6 to 17.
Yeah. All right. We are officially in time as well. That just hit overtime now.
Is that turn 2 or turn 1?
That would have been his turn 1.
Because okay,
well, turn 0. It would have been turn 0.
Because the die says turn 2.
Oh, is there a die tracking this that I don't see?
So if he's at 17, it doesn't matter, because him playing Ursula means that the game's just over. Because I don't think Steel, he needs an Elsa here.
But yeah, there's no way to get rid of the Ursula.
Yeah, there's just through damage, she's just too big.
Like, he would have needed Elsa to prevent, which is not.
So I think even if he draws Elsa there, I don't even think he has enough ink to play.
He technically could have shifted onto his other Elsa.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, true.
I'm just saying it's a real play. Like, you know, it's a real play.
So Brandon does win.
Yep.
Very impressive matchup. I mean, it really just came down to obviously it came down to card advantage, but I think it came down to card quality as well, and the order at which things were drawn. I thought the Facilier was very good and represented a threat that had to be taken off the board.